Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Jo, this is Joey Sewy, and today we have got a favourites video, and it's been so long that it's actually my favourites for April and May. So thank you for sticking around all the way through April and May. I'm sure you've been desperate to know what my favourites are. But I like doing this video and it is often really well received, and this time it's actually quite a heavy sewing related favourites. There's always sewing stuff in it, but the last couple of times when my sewing wasn't so happening, there hasn't been as much sewing content, but this time loads of it. So I stick to the same categories each time, and one thing to mention before we get into this is if you're able to support my channel, I'm hugely grateful to the so many of you that already have. You can go to my Ko-fi account, which is just like Patreon, and you can give a small donation if you're able to. You support my channel already by watching, and if that's all you can afford or want to do, completely fine. I'm still super grateful that you're there. Thank you very much. So let's get right into this. My first favourite is, and it's been so long I can't remember what order I do these in, so we're just going to go with it. My first favourite is my favourite purchase. Now, purchase, I've got two. Purchase number one, having said we're all sewing, is not at all sewing. So purchase number one is Battle Sheep. Battle Sheep. It's a board game. I will link to a video that shows you how to play this. Why do I love this? Well, I love this because it's a completely brand new board game. I'd never heard of it. I found out through an online service called Board Games Arena, which the BBC Click programme put me onto. So at the start of lockdown, we're all thinking, what are we going to do to connect with our friends who aren't around? We like playing board games, and Board Game Arena is an online arena with literally hundreds of different kinds of board games. Many of them are real life board games that you will recognise, but you can play them online against real humans, not against the computer. And Battle Sheep is a game that I found through that, and I loved it so much that I thought I'd take it offline so that we didn't have to be doing everything on screen when we're playing just the four of us at home. I love it because it is really simple, but it is also full of strategy. So it's a little bit like checkers or drafts, which I think are the same game. I've never got into playing that, and I've got no reason to because I'm sure I'd like it. But anyway, it's a little bit like that. There are counters and you have to put them in certain lines and you have to claim space, basically. Obviously, counters are sheep, but that's what I love about it. It's simple enough that a 9-year-old, and actually a younger child, but my youngest is 9, could pick up the rules fairly instantly. There's only about 3 rules, and also an adult can play it, and both can be equally challenged and entertained by it until one of them has a tantrum when they lose. But other than that, so yeah, I would really recommend Battle Sheep, either online, gameplay is exactly the same online, or in real life. If I show you the back, that is the board. One of the cool things about the game is you actually get to set the board out at the start of each game. So the actual configuration, the shape of it, changes each time. The board in tiles as well, and then you put your sheep on the board, and you have to keep them all together in a flock if you can, and have the biggest flock by the end. That's basically it. It sounds simple, it is on some levels, and it's not on others. So yeah, if you like board games, I would thoroughly recommend Battle Sheep. We'll put a link down below, of course. So just to keep my promise, purchase number 2 was also lockdown related, but was sewing related. So you're getting a sneak preview, you just got one, of my makes for May, which is going to be the next video up on this channel. But I want to show you this because I love it so much. And if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen this already. So this is a kit that I bought from a Scottish embroidery designer called Blair. And it comes with the hoop, with the fabric, with the design screen printed onto the hoop, and with all the floss. So it's everything. I think it even includes a needle. If it doesn't include a needle, that's the only thing it doesn't, but I think it actually even includes a needle. So let me see if I can get this to show. I loved the design. It's Ferns, and so naturally it's going to live in this room. I hang it on the wall just over that way. So we've got a 4 different kinds of fern. That's supposed to be a frond that's rolled up. These ones, which to me look like holly leaf ferns, as I would know them, but they might not be. And these ones, which I can't think what they are, and these ones I know them as maidenhair ferns. But 3 different kinds of ferns, lots of different kinds of embroidery pattern, stitch pattern. So I've not done masses of embroidery before, but I've done a little bit, and I was sufficiently challenged by this. It was interesting enough. It wasn't super long, but all these things are relative, aren't they? It depends how much time you've got and everything. But I've been stitching whilst chatting on the telephone quite often to all the people that I want to keep in touch with. So I liked doing that because I've got a headset, which I think I've shared with you in another video, but I have a hands-free headset, which means my hands are free to stitch or to knit. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I would love another one of her kits. I'm eyeing them up, although I've got a different embroidery thing on the go at the moment. But yeah, that I would recommend it, and it was a lot of fun, and it was someone who's local and she's independent, so it felt good to also be supporting a local independent business at this time. My next favourite, in no particular order, is my favourite me-made garment of the month, or the 2 months as we're doing it, and I've picked this time. These are the Sallie trousers from Closet Case Patterns. So the pattern is actually a jumpsuit, or a jumpsuit, but this is just the trousers, wide-legged, elasticated waist, pockets. Now the reason why I've picked them out is because I definitely need more things like this in my wardrobe, because at the moment when it's boiling hot, I think it's going to rain tomorrow, but you know, at the moment when it's boiling hot, these are my coolest in temperature trousers, and I basically don't just like wearing them, I need to wear them. I'm not a big shorts person, a bit paranoid about my legs, and they're so white they blind people. But these are comfortable and they're so cool, and I think they look quite cool as well. So they tick all the boxes in the hot weather, and the elasticated waist is a bonus when you have put on just a tiny bit of lockdown weight, as I may have done. I'm going to hang those up there so they can be in the rest of the video. Just as an aside, I often get questions about what I'm wearing, so let's digress for a moment. I will show you what I'm wearing. I am wearing, this is some Liberty Tana Lawn fabric. It's gorgeous. I think I bought it a couple of years ago. I did a video about my visit to Liberty, so I'll link that. It is the Carme blouse from Pauline Alice, and it has this bib with pleats on it. I did a whole series about how to make that, but again, it might be a couple of years ago now, so it's a little while ago, but it's a beautiful pattern. I love it. It has proper cuffs, although they're narrow cuffs with a gathered band, but at the moment I'm wearing it because it's got the button, I can't remember any words today. It's got the little strap that holds your roll of your sleeves up. No words coming today. I'm sure you'll know what that's called. Is it a placket? Not sure. Anyway, it's got one of those. It's really useful because you can roll your sleeves up and it looks a bit more deliberate. Speaking of rolling sleeves up, my favourite YouTube video is one from J. Crew that someone put me onto in my What Have I Been Sewing in April video, because I made a white shirt with blue cuffs. I made a white shirt that had blue cuffs, but they were blue on this bright, light's so bright today, blue on the inside. You can't see that. Yeah, you totally can't see that. It's a really bright blue. Sorry. I'm bleaching all the light out today because it's so bright. But I said I don't know how to roll these up to see the blue. So now I've made them, and I like the blue on the inside of the cuff, a bit like the blue stripe down there. You can see that because it's on the back. I didn't know how to expose the blue underneath. Well, this video that I will link to is all about little styling tricks, so like the half tuck of a jumper. It's not a very long video, and I really like how they tell you, maybe you're not like me, but you'll see a stylish person walking along the street, or more likely on the television these days, and you think, right, so how are they wearing those clothes that if you look at them they look like normal clothes, but they look really stylish? How have they put those on their body and shaped them that makes it look cool. Now, one of the reasons might be because they're 6 foot tall and 7 stone, but other reasons that are achievable and not about body image are about how they're styling their clothes, like how they roll the sleeves up or not, how they tuck the jumper in or not. So I'm always looking for little nuances like that that can take normal clothes to look like that girl, woman who's stylish rather than just wearing some alright clothes. And I thought that J. Crew video just had a few of those little tips and tricks, so I thought I would share those with you, and thank you very much to the person that told me about that in the comments to my last video. So next up is my favourite new brackets to me sewing patterns. Now, one of these is new and a couple of them are new to me. So the patterns are, first of all, the Oliver top from Seamwork, which I have made this month, but you'll have to wait for the next video to actually see them because I'm going to be sneaky and not show you them. I will show you a picture of the top itself. What I liked about it especially was the lantern sleeve, which I think I've seen these sleeves before. I've never sewn them before, and I didn't know they were called lantern sleeves. They're called lantern sleeves because of the particular shape where they kind of come out to the elbow, not in a really exaggerated way, but out to the elbow a bit and then narrow to the wrists. And now that I've made it, because I have, it's really flattering. I like how it fits, I like how it looks. It was a little bit different to make. Big plus, it makes it quite economical on fabric, because instead of that one massive sleeve piece, you have 2 sleeve pieces, which can be easier to place if you're eking out fabric, so that is definitely worth bearing in mind. So I really like the Oliver top. There is a funnel neck version on the website as a pattern hack as well, and I really like that, and may have also made that. If you follow me on Instagram, you already know this because I've shown it, and if you don't follow me on Instagram and you want to see these things without me teasing about them, sorry, then you can go there, because I tend to show things a bit more as I make them on Instagram, whereas the videos are just once a week and maybe you just see my makes once a month. The second 2 patterns are kind of linked. The first is called the Intrepid Boiler Suit by Alice & Co Patterns, which I'm on a boiler suit hunt mission. I really like the look and I really fancy making one sometime soon. And I was thinking about that, and the first pattern that came to mind was the Intrepid Boiler Suit, but it's not exactly what I want everything to be. The collar is a bit too 70s to me. And if I'm honest, although I have been to a course with the woman who makes, I think she's called Alice, strangely enough, with a woman who drafts these patterns. I've actually done a course with her and she knows her stuff. She's very good. She's lectured on pattern drafting at, I think, at the London College of Fashion, so she really does know what she's talking about. I'm nevertheless a little bit nervous about trying new pattern companies because you never know how they're going to fit. So because of those 2 reasons, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go for that one, and still haven't quite decided. And then Closet Case Patterns, as you may or may not know, have just released in the middle of May a jumpsuit, which I love. It's called the, I'm gonna have to look it up, the Blanca flight suit. So it's not even called a jumpsuit, it's called a flight suit. I think because of the zip, to be honest, it's like almost classic parachuting or flying in an aeroplane as a 1920s heroine or 1930s heroine kind of style. Anyway, they have just released a pattern and I really love that. Now, it's not a million miles away from the Alice & Co pattern, but I do know that I love and would trust with my life the Closet Case Patterns instructions. They are really good and she holds your hand through everything. And even though I've been sewing for a long time, I love some good instructions. I love someone who shows you how to get through something. If it's a little bit unfamiliar, then I want that. For example, with the Oliver top, I barely looked at the instructions. I did look how they wanted the lantern sleeve to be put together because I'd never done that before. Everything else, didn't even look. Did it the way that I am comfortable with and know. Read through to see if there was anything new I could learn from them, but actually just approached it in my own way. I wouldn't want to do that with a flight suit because I've never made one. I've made a dungarees and stuff, but it's more complex, it's less familiar, so I want someone who's going to hold my hand. So I think I might be buying the Closet Case Patterns one, but I do love both of those. And if you are also in the market for a flight suit or boiler suit or jumpsuit, whatever suit you want to call it, then you might be interested in those too. For my favorite gadget this month, I'm going to go for an embroidery hoop. I know I've shown you the embroidery before, but I have done 3 different embroidery patterns this month. I've done this one, I've done one that's in, no, 4. Yeah, 4. I've done this one, I've done one in progress, I've done one I've also finished, and I've done one on the Oliver top that I told you about. So I've done quite a lot of embroidery. I've been in that kind of mood. And I've used the hoop a lot, and I just marvel at how useful they are. It makes embroidering anything so much easier. It controls the fabric. The Oliver top I did on stretch fabric, and I was careful, but I even used that in a hoop, so I didn't stretch the fabric to distort it, but I did create a little bit of tautness. So that's, you can hear that, you kind of do it quite tight like a drum, and obviously this is finished and it is bound at the back, so it's tight. But when you're working, the fabric is a little bit freer, and when you're using stretch, then you don't want to stretch it as far as it'll go because that'll be too far. But it's just such a simple thing. If you'd never come across an embroidery hoop, you may not have. Basically there's 2 hoops. There's one I can't show you, which is inside here, slightly smaller than the first, and then there's the top one. So you put the inside one, you can't see, put that down, you put your fabric on top, and then you slide this ring, you undo this, which tightens and loosens it, undo that, not all the way but a lot of the way, put it over, start to tighten that until you feel that the fabric grips, pull the fabric. This is where if you were using stretch, you've got to be careful not to pull it too much. Pull it evenly, but not too much. Even with a woven, you don't want to overstretch. And then tighten this up, and then keep pulling it a little bit. I'm indicating behind here, you can't see, can you? They're just genius, and make embroidery so much easier. So if you really haven't ever come across an embroidery hoop and you like embroidery, you need one in your life. And even if you're just thinking, oh, I might put a little something on a collar, think about using one if you've got one hanging around. A lot of people who sew have. But I just thought I'd do a homage to something that's so very simple, and I've been using them a lot and appreciating their elegant simplicity in making something easy this month. So my favourite Instagram post this month, I'm going to go with a friend of mine has a graphic design sort of side hustle thing, and she posted these creative block glasses the other day, and they just made me laugh, so I thought I would share them with you. So they're wooden glasses, they're not real glasses, but on the inside it says creative block glasses to be used in an emergency, and I just thought it was really tickled me, so I thought I'd share it with you. She does prints and things as well, which I really love. They're super simple black lines. She designs and makes them herself. And I really love the aesthetic. We went to school together, and I haven't seen her in real life for a long time, but we've clearly grown up and ended up liking the same things. So I thought I would share that with you. Now my last share is either a listen or a read. Now it is a read, well it's an audio book, but you can get it as a real book, and weirdly I'm not actually going to recommend that you read it, because it's a book called The Paradox of Choice, and I'll put the author here because I can't quite remember his name. Now the reason why I'm not going to recommend you read it is because it's a little bit outdated, because I think it was published in about 2000, and so it only makes slight reference to the internet, nothing to mobile phones and social media and stuff, and that would be really relevant. But the reason why I wanted to talk to you about it is just because it has a really great core idea. So the audiobook was about 7.5 hours long, and I did listen to it all, although I'm quite a quick talk speed. And it didn't, maybe because I have a psychology degree anyway, it didn't tell me a lot that was new other than this core idea. And it's basically that masses of choice doesn't do as much good. And it's something that I've found myself instinctively feeling quite often, but I'd never really been able to put it into words, and I'm going to try and put it into words for you now, having had it explored in this book. And maybe if I don't do it well, you should go and read the book. But basically, in this 2020 world, or when he was writing 2000 world, we have so much choice of everything. And even if we just narrow it down to our sewing interests, we've got so much choice of what fabric and what pattern and what thread, and then what adornments and what fitting we want to do, and all of that, that it can be so easy to get paralyzed by the choice. And one of the really interesting things that he talks about is the fact that, and this isn't the first place I've heard this idea, but it's worth remembering, that when we're faced with so many choices, we can get really caught by fear that every choice that we make excludes another potential choice. So the jumpsuit that I want to make, if I make it in denim, that would probably be really cool. I've seen some great versions in denim, but if I make it in denim, that excludes the future where I've made it in purple linen or chambray or tencel twill. Oh my god, which do I choose? I don't know. Whereas if I'd only ever thought of making it in denim, or maybe one of two options, that choice is so much easier. When you start scrolling through Instagram on the hashtag of a pattern, it's fantastic for inspiration, but, big neon but, sometimes you start thinking, oh my god, but I could make it like that, or that, or that, or that, or that, or that, and now I don't know how I want to make it because I have too many choices. When I first saw it in my head, I saw it and it was navy blue, and that was what I wanted. But now I've spent half an hour or longer scrolling on Instagram at all the possible choices, and now I don't know what I want because I could have these 15 options or these 50 options. Do I want to do something on the collar? Do I want to do this? It can really paralyze you, and I'm sharing this because I know I've been there. The same with fabric shopping. You know, we have not just a shop. In fact, I don't have a physical shop here, but if you have a physical shop near you, or if you're in a shop, that's fine. But you may have a lot of choices, but at least it's only in those four walls. But if you have the entire internet, when you're thinking about this pattern that you want to make, or maybe you're not even thinking about that, you're just thinking about fabric, it's like, well, do I want the pink one, the green one, the blue one, the yellow one? Do I want the one with cats on, the one with dogs on, the one with fish on, the one with squares on, the one with triangles on, the one with circles on? Do I want the stripe? Do I want the check? Do I want the asteroid print? All of these are valid choices, but boy oh boy, there are a lot of choices these days. And I think I wanted to share the fact that I realised I need to do something quite radical, which is not look as much when I want to buy something. Does that seem a bit weird? But the more I look, the more I get stuck. So from now on, I'm going to develop just 2 or 3 fabric stores, maybe per project or maybe per month. I don't buy a lot of fabric anyway, but when I'm thinking about fabric, I'm not going to try and look everywhere, or at least I'm going to do my best to stop. I'm just going to look in 2 or 3 places, maybe even just one. That would be scary. Because maybe I won't find the perfect fabric. That's the other thing. Maybe if I just kept looking, the perfect fabric is just one step further down the street. Maybe the perfect fabric is just in the next store. Maybe the perfect fabric is just on the next online shop. Maybe the perfect fabric is just one more scroll down the screen. Maybe it's just on the next page, you know? And we get stuck, or we waste hours of our lives. Maybe it's not wasted to you. And I know that fabric shopping doesn't always feel wasted. But again, I have often found an entire evening's gone by and it hasn't been enjoyable dreaming about fabric. It's been tired eyes scrolling and wondering if the next one might be the one. So I found it really interesting to think about the paradox of choice in relation to sewing. And this doesn't just relate to sewing, it relates to all things, all choices. But if you would like to listen to the audiobook, please feel free to, of course, you're a free human. And it does have some interesting core ideas in it. Just I didn't feel that actually it was worth an entire book. I could have listened to a half-hour podcast or radio programme, or read a magazine article or a digested newspaper article and got the core things out of it. The rest of it, not so much. But maybe that was just me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for choosing to watch out of all of the many things that you could have watched. that means a lot to me, and I hope that you've got to the end of the video and you have felt that that choice was a good one and that you didn't waste your time. I'll be back again really soon with my What Have I Been Making video with, as I have said, various embroidery things and garments and bits and pieces. See you again. Bye.